Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. So Apple's going to be holding a special event on September 10th. Here's what you can expect. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you can read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content. So just like clockwork, Apple has announced the special event for September 10th about the same day they have it every year. What they usually announce at these mid-September events are new iPhones. And this year should be no exception. Everybody is expecting a whole new line of iPhones. Now currently we've got the iPhone XS, the iPhone XS Max, and the iPhone XR. So there's probably going to be a replacement for each one of those. So the big new feature of the higher end models is going to be more cameras. Instead of just the 2 cameras, we're now going to have 17 different cameras on the back of the iPhone. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually supposed to be 3 cameras, a triple camera system. So right now we've got a normal lens. We have a 2x telephoto lens. The new camera should be an ultra wide angle lens. So you'll be able to zoom in and zoom out with the camera. And it's likely that Apple's going to use these cameras for even more than that. They love combining photos. So probably there'll be modes where you use all 3 cameras and get an enhanced portrait mode or even some other special effects. Whatever replaces the iPhone XR is going to go from 1 to a dual camera system on the back, so we should have the normal and the telephoto lens there. That means you'll be able to do things like portrait mode with it. Now these cameras won't just be more numerous, they should be a little higher quality too, and that may translate into new functions in video shooting, like being able to make adjustments live while you're actually shooting video. So what will these new models be called? Some say they're going to be called the 11 using an XI, so the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 11 Max. Others say Apple's going to move away from that and call these Pro iPhones. So you may have the iPhone Pro and the iPhone Pro Max or Pro Plus or something like that for the larger size. No one's really speculating on what the new XR could be called. Maybe that'll be called the 11R. Maybe Apple will go with one of those things where they just call it the iPhone, just like they did for the iPad once. It's expected that these iPhone models are going to look pretty much the same and have the same screen sizes as the current lineup. Of course, there's going to be a new processor in it, probably the A13 processor. It's also talked about that the higher end models at least may have a math processor or a matrix processor that could make rendering of AR scenes a little bit better. There might be some other general improvements as well, like a slightly better OLED screen on the higher end models. They're also all supposed to be a little bit more shatterproof and waterproof than previous generations. Another new feature may be reverse charging that works just with the new AirPods. The new AirPods case can charge wirelessly, and it's rumored that with the new iPhones you'll be able to turn them over and put the AirPods on them and get some charge from the iPhone to the AirPods. So when and how much? Well, if the announcement is Tuesday, September 10th, then following previous years we'll be able to order it on Friday, September 13th, probably right after midnight Pacific time, and then they'd be available the next week on September 20th. Not many people are talking about the prices. I expect them to be about the same. Apple's got some pressure to raise prices because of the potential of tariffs that you're probably reading about in the news, but at the same time they're still hurting a little bit from when they raised prices to about $1,000 for the iPhone X 2 years ago. So maybe those will balance each other out and end up with the same pricing. So in addition to new iPhones, I think it's pretty much a sure thing we're going to see some new Apple Watches. Now they came out with a whole new design last year, so I don't expect anything major. But rumors point to some new finishes, a titanium finish and also a ceramic one. So look for those. Now I think there's a possibility we may see new iPads here as well. Apple came out with a new iPad mini and iPad Air earlier this year. But they're due to update the base model, the low-end model, which is good for schools and education. I expect them to drop the 9.7-inch screen and go to a 10.2-inch screen for this model. Also, the iPad Pros, they're still kind of new and fresh from 1 year ago, but we could possibly see new versions that just have a newer processor in them. Now I know people are going to ask me, well, what about new Macs? Doesn't Apple could do anything with the Macs? If they don't announce anything with the Macs, does that mean the Mac is dead or something? This event, the one in mid-September, is always about iPhones and sometimes iPads. Apple usually announces new Macs at the Worldwide Developers Conference, sometimes in March, sometimes in the later part of the fall. but they almost never mention Macs at this event. That said, there are rumors that at some point Apple's going to update the 15-inch MacBook Pros to a 16-inch model. It's going to be about the same size, but the screen will go closer to the edges. So there's a slight possibility they could throw that in. But I really don't expect it. If we're going to see it this year, it's going to be perhaps in October. Now, besides all the hardware, we're definitely going to hear about the new operating systems. Apple has new versions of all of their operating systems, and we're definitely going to hear about iOS 13 because that's going to be on the new iPhones and possibly new iPads as well. So we'll hear about the release date of iOS 13 for those of us not buying new hardware, just updating our current machine. We also may hear about macOS Catalina, although sometimes Apple leaves this out. They simply update the web pages to give a release date but don't make it a big part of this presentation because it's kind of awkward to go talking about iPhones and then jump to Mac. So they may mention it, they may not. Either way, we should know at about the same time in the official release date for Catalina when everybody can get it. So if you follow all the rumors and speculation, what do you think? Do you think Apple's going to do something surprising, something different, have a one more thing moment at this announcement? Let me know in the comments. I publish new tutorials every weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. Then hit the little bell icon to get notifications for each new tutorial.